And once again, we are live. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to episode one, not the introductory episode we did last time, but episode one, where we're going to be talking about fair launches, good tokenomics, and how to make this tokenized market investable. How's it going, guys? Dean, Taki.
Good. Nice to be here. These are fun exercises. Looking forward to go through things. And what's fun is that we make this as we go along, and we're going to be going through some thoughts and guardrails that we believe should belong in the future of internet capital markets. So really looking forward to take them to the test by checking other protocols projects around the ecosystem and see what happens. See the conclusions that we make.
To remind people that maybe did not watch the previous episode, we talked about the internet capital markets and how to make them investable. And we concluded that token holders need to have some rights. Otherwise, the tokens are kind of casino tokens. And if you don't have rights, then the investability, the investment grade, let's put it that way, of the tokens is lower. The rights were identified in our previous conversation and in this working paper are the rights to information, rights to participation, voting, economics upside, the ability to exit, and protection against abuse, treasury abuse, upgrades abuse, tokenomics abuse. We kind of focused on situations to avoid situation where you get this trust me bro, we'll vest the team, trust me bro, we will not rug the treasury, trust me, we will not mint more tokens, trust me, we will not dilute the token holders, etc., etc. And we spoke about the requirement to burn the mint authority, to have on-chain vesting, to have an allowance controlled treasury, to have veto powers over the managing council, have very clear quorum rules. Everything needs to be public and and avoid any arbitrary monetary changes. Dean Machine, you've put a lot of thought in this. How do you see this ICM evolving, and how do you think we should go forward? Should we just pick a project and take it through the internet capital market rules?
Yeah, so this is a constantly evolving idea, and after the first episode, we got so much input from other people. I want to continue getting input from people on the standard. We need more input. We this is something that's being created by a lot of gigabrains across Solana. There's one other particular team that we've been working on this with a lot. At some point in time, that'll be very public. But I want more people to come and talk about this. And in further discussions, I think we went a little too deep into detail, and we can go even deeper into detail. But if you come out, zoom out as much as possible and say, hey, this needs to be an elevator pitch, it's a quick tweet. What do you say? You want to see tokens that are transparent, like the project. What do you own? What are the policies? How do things work? Where do things flow? What are the costs? Transparency. I just want to know, what are your monthly costs? What are you expecting? What do I expect to make? This is transparency, really, right? Being able to quickly see and learn these kind of things. And the other one is my ability to be heard, to know that you've heard what I have to say, and that I have a chance to influence the project. Certain different choices can be influenced by me. So those are the two criteria I really think we focus on, and then we can drill down into the nitty gritty of each of those. Right? What's the spectrum of that? Is there no transparency and no voice? There are projects. I would tell you that, anything that launches that doesn't have um, realms, doesn't have transparency, or it has a very obfuscated transparency, right? Like I have a tweet today that I talk about Jupiter, and I'm like, yeah, you can hunt down the squads. It's not super easy to figure it out, and you're not thoroughly convinced that everything is just in that one squad. And then on the other side, the proposing and being able to know that you've been heard. Yeah, Flash Trade said that they have a Discord. I don't know if that would qualify for me. Like, it's great that you have a Discord. I can make a Discord and say it's Flash Trade's Discord too. But I don't have the official Twitter. What's the official Twitter? Is it owned by some? Like, when you get into that nitty gritty, I think we can be it'll be fun.
Do you think that it's to be heard, you need to be a token holder, right? You need to have some kind of alignment and hold a little bit of the token. Like, what if should you be heard if you are not a holder?
So in today's meta, most people just talk, and you have no clue about their ownership. To my knowledge, the only two ways you really understand ownership in discussion is either you're using Discord or Telegram connected to a Matrica or a pub key and saying, hey, the only people I can get in here with these roles have this amount. Or you're using realms, and then, clearly we know exactly how many tokens.
Isn't there a third case where you can be heard without holding any tokens just because you're maybe in footer key?
Yeah, that is a way that you can be heard 100%, and you can influence the decision making. You don't even have to hold
you're not even a part of the project. You don't hold any shares, any tokens, any nothing.
Technically, it's not you that's being heard, it's the market. So you may affect the markets, but it's not you, technically. You cannot voice an opinion or say something as a market, as a version, a fraction of the market. So that's kind of a peculiar situation as far as ownership is concerned.
And again, in my mind at least, there is all flavors of governance can be used in this transparent standard that we are discussing. Like, I think there is like Showalian, footer key, token voting, all these flavors can be baked in, and I can see a use for all of them. So I'm not excluding any systems of governance here. This is an open discussion.
Okay, what do you think? Should we jump right into it?
Well, we've gone for a few minutes. Let's spin the wheel.
In the list, I've added the popular projects that have some level of transparency and some level of governance, just to make it spicier. So we got Pith, Epicentral Labs, Jupiter, Adrena, Solman, Metaplex, Solblaze, Flashtrade, Radium, Bonk, Island DAO, Meteora, SNS, Jito, and Marinade.
And I would tell you, like, look, clearly Island DAO and Soul Man are, not nearly at the same market cap of the rest, but we're intimately involved. They happen to be DAO experiments, governance that makes things really interesting. That's why we've added them there. So I would tell you, anybody, like, there's not any criteria. Anybody can get a token here.
Yeah,
Yes.
we have to since it's a new show and a new exercise, and we like to always do new things. Of course, we're going to do things that we think they're interesting around the ecosystem. Obviously, some of them we're involved in, some of them we're not. But it's an exercise to try and discover, how internet capital markets should be operating, and how a great version of them. Sure, it involves governance. It's not like purely a governance show. It's a show where we go and see other projects, not through the lens of, price go up, price go down, but through whether they are a good example of ICM, the way we understand them and the way we see them going and where we see this thing going. So yeah, let's go and let's see what we get. And anyone can suggest in the comments, in the chats. Please retweet, repost the live. The recording is going to be available for other time zones as well. Let's have fun together. Let's discover, the Solana ecosystem and the next version and future of ICM together.
Yeah, please suggest. Please suggest. It makes so much more fun if we are exploring tokens that you hold and you're passionate about, and then we can invite you to correct us and fix us, because this is an ongoing thing. We don't know everything, so let's spin the wheel and see what we're going to look at.
We have a winner. We have a winner, and it's a big one.
That's an interesting one.
That's a big one.
I had a DAO, I had an important DAO that was initially praised upon.
And I would tell you, the best way to do it today is to act like that DAO structure still exists. That way, we have something like a lot of the questions are answered better in that format versus the kind of flux that we're currently in. I have no idea how Jupiter token launched. Like I assume there were some private investors. There wasn't like a token launch, was there? I know there was an airdrop. There wasn't an ICO, was there?
Obviously, Jupiter is a huge one. People know all about Jup. If you're on Solana or in crypto and you don't know Jup, I don't know what to tell you. This is not the show for you. To say a couple of things. And, it's not a meme coin. Is it a governance utility, speculation?
I have some notes. And I also, because I received a really sizable allocation of Jupiter. I was following. It's a fantastic team. And here we're not looking at the team or the token or the price. We're looking at how transparent it is. How much do I know? How investable it is today. So when Jup launched, the token was described as a governance token, which is very interesting. 10 billion Jup were minted. 20%, 2 billion went to the team. There was a 30% for liquidity and strategic reserves, and the community side was 50% of the total supply went to airdrops, grants, and community chests. Multiple rounds of airdrops. But the interesting thing is that it was described as a governance. And it launched with a DAO, the Jup DAO, if you remember, that did some really good, set some really good examples, specifically the get rewarded to vote, participate, and get rewarded. They did this very, very well. There was a lot of participation.
I think Jupiter is one of the best examples on how to do incentivized participation in governance. They knocked it out of the park. They were hugely popular. Votes and discussions around proposals were very had a very big share of the mind share on the timeline. This is good. This brings more eyes to governance. Sure, there's a lot of noise that way, but that comes with being popular. And I think that a few DAOs have ever broken through the barrier of being on the popular things to discuss when it comes to governance and proposals and DAOs and stuff.
I have to say though, because I I was participating. I'm pretty sure you guys were participating as well in the votes. I rarely read the text. Totally honest.
Yeah, I had a good back and forth with 8-bit penis on Twitter about this, and I think that, like, I'm finally coming to a point where I think incentivizing governance makes a lot of sense. It especially makes sense to understand how rev share works, and you need to take it one step further, which is, okay, what's the skin in the game? So I think incentivized voting works really well when you also have something like a Sowellian connected to it. Or a futarchy connected to it. There, it's not as simple as I just click a button and I voted. Right? That's the problem. Is, incentivizing the voting, you now have much more noise. And to get signal out of that, there has to be some sort of skin in the game component, something to show or require some amount of friction to require the user to maybe lose something if they've made a bad choice. And I prefer Sowellian there than Feud, not because of the author, but because of logic. Yeah, I agree. What do you think, Taki? Do you think that when you would vote, it was just whatever to get out of it?
I'm not the best example to ask because I do read those things, even if I vote. They seem interesting. It's my daily reading. So yeah, I do read, and as I said, they did incentives among the best who ever did incentives. Incentives, though, unfortunately, after a point, they err to the side of just being there for the sake of being there, and you have extreme noise from the farmers, the participants that don't care about governance and just vote yes, no, or see whatever the vote sways, and they just go with it, which is not a good thing. But I did read, and I try to participate, and it's nice to see the incentives. But at the same time, I hate the airdrop farming culture that this conditions people to become. Like, you should not be constantly paying people to participate or forcing them to lock for rewards and then play around with this, because that's what the whole game becomes for them. And it's not about the governance anymore. It's about how do I max extract this airdrop or this next wave of airdrop that's coming by participating. So it doesn't promote or reward uh, practicing good decision making.
Great distinction there between participation and good decision making. I think, though, we've kind of strayed away. I think we need to get back to the internet capital market standards. Jupiter DAO, right to information. Is the DAO transparent? Can we see the money? What do you think? I rate it kind of low because there is no realms, and I don't know if they've published all their squads. What do you think, guys?
Yeah, and squads, like, we happen to know how to find the squads of the different projects. In the comments or in the chat, tell us if you know. Actually, it would be really cool if somebody shared the squads. Like, I want to know.
Shout out to Pine Analytics and Jack for showing the ropes.
Yeah. This is an old Dune dashboard that if you don't know about it, you're gonna have a hard time. But yeah, I would challenge somebody who says, yeah, this is a DAO, and there's good protections, and there's transparency. Okay, show me what the assets are. I can show you what the assets are for all of the realms DAOs. Show me what the assets are for Jupe. I know the squads. I don't know definitively if that's everything. We don't know the costs associated. Like, those are the things that even realms DAOs don't have, right? And this is where, as an industry, we need to move forward into, taking a page out of one of the cool parts of what MetaDAO is doing is the allowance. Like, at least that the cost of everything is within this allowance. It should be, unless you forgot that you need to get audited. But I digress.
Yeah, and again, there are rules
low.
missing. There are rules missing.
I would say low. it's medium to low because you could have no squads and no realms, and then you're a pump log.
So in a 10, I would put it out of 10. I would say it's a 3.5, something like that.
Maybe I would give it a 5. Like, I think, if you're not using squads or realms, you're under a 5. If you're using realms, there's probably no higher amount of transparency you can have on Solana.
Right to information. This is what we discussed. I don't know if Takisoul, if you want to add something on this before we go to the right to participation. And as we said, we're gonna operate. We're doing this exercise, pretending that the Jup DAO is still going, because otherwise, just the whole thing just collapses. We assume there is a DAO in the same form as we all knew it before, where you can't really propose, you can't really do any of this, but there is a DAO for you to vote. This is the lens we're looking at the project. Right to participation. Din Machine, you should start.
Yeah. So they're definitely further along than some other people on that list that we had. I can tell you that there are plenty of projects that are not interested in hearing your opinion. They're not on realms, which means that there's no transparency on the proposal process. We have no on-chain way of knowing how a proposal is made. Maybe you can look in the program. I'm not quite sure how. I'm sure that's a multi-sig and there's only a few people. But as a token holder, I have no way of making a proposal, but I can vote. So I would say that that's a 4 or a 5, because there's also no on-chain discussion platform.
No instructions either. I think everything is polling.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Wow. Yeah, I can't believe I missed that. Huge distinction. You want to go deeper into that? I think that's very important.
Yeah, I think it's very, very important.
Before we go to the sentiment versus polling and everything, regarding the discussion part, like I get that we want, and we in an ideal world we would want to have on chain the discussion around proposals and the way to the proposals going on chain to also be on chain. But I think the effort of having a forum, and Jupiter had a very nicely organized forum, at least last time I checked, for Jupiter DAO to discuss and participate in the proposal discussions. I don't recall if there was the option to put proposals up, which is something else that we have to discuss. So just to keep the conversation on track, we're talking about whether those votes were polling votes. Did they have any instructions? Were they binding at all? And then let's move on to the who gets to make a proposal and how that experience and flow looks like.
Jupiter had clear quorum rules. These were public, so I give them some points for that. They had this is a good, like, they were coming from a good place. I don't think this was like, oh, we want to disguise ourselves as a DAO. I think they just made something which was coming from a good place. They wanted to do something that is a DAO. There's just a lot under the surface. Once you say I will make a DAO, there's a lot of rules. There is a lot of little safeguards that you need to really think about. So
I think it's a very important distinction. And that's also one of the problems you have when you're not using realms, because now you have to go here to see assets and here to see quorum and vote, right? Where we're used to a world where all that's in one place. I know what the assets are. I know what the rules are.
To hire a lawyer, and which will allow them to proxy vote and to vote from a distance, or have someone else vote on their behalf. This, at the moment, in the Solana world, in the Realms world, in the DAO world, is done. So I'll give an overall score of 4.5 as an average. Din Machine. Move the conversation so we're conscious of time. Right to economic protections. Is there a way for you to rage quit and get a portion of the treasury? Is there a way for you to block a decision that has an instruction for the treasury? Is there a way for you to change something to make
Only with
the
a wrench attack. You have to find somebody and smack them over the head. Yeah, there's none of that.
At the same time, there is clear vesting. There is a
And
large.
the ASR rewards, if we're looking at the past, was one of the only examples of token holder rev share, if you want to call it a rev share, because it was part of the tokens. Although it wasn't a rev share, but still, it was there was an economic incentive, and for that, I would score it very high. I would tell you that they're on that area around 7 or 8, especially cognizant of the fact that rage quitting has only happened on Solana, to my knowledge. And I'm not going to throw in some experiments I've done on realms. The well-known one is Mountain Capital. Other than that, no one's ever done it. So it's unfair to really act like a lot of people have done it. Yeah.
Another thing that kind of, I think, lowers the score is the size of the airdrop. Kind of adds a lot of unpredictability. It makes things hard to predict. We don't know. There is tokens everywhere. I don't know if this comment should be considered part of the right to economic protections. What do you think? Is the size of and the unpredictability, the nature of the airdrop, which is unpredictable, should lower the score, or this should not be part of this conversation?
What do you think?
I think maybe when emissions are so large and unpredictable, and that weakens the economic protection of the shareholders, the ones that have put money to buy the shares, not participation reward. So in an ideal world, the airdrop is not given to anyone. The airdrop is somehow considered a purchase. So I would prefer if for me to claim my confetti tokens, because before launching the token, when the token is launched, the moment it's launched and you don't know its performance, you don't know its price, you don't know anything, it's kind of monopoly money. It has no economic value. I would prefer if it costed me 0.1 sol to claim my airdrop. That way, I think a lot of people wouldn't have claimed the airdrop first. And then I would have a better connection on, as I am participating, I am getting my airdrop instead of just getting everything up front. And Taki said it very well, where you create this culture of airdrop hunting and you subject the market into airdrop hunters, while participation, so to get to your full amount, you need to participate in governance for a year. I understand RevShare through that lens better. So yes, I should add this kind of topic into the economic protections, and the large and unpredictable upfront airdrop kind of lowers the score, does not protect the shareholders. So I would lower the score, and I would give the right to economic protections as a kind of low. Only the vesting is what the transparent vesting is what kind of pushes it up, and I would give it a 4. Any objections? Because the average of our scores goes to around 5.
I told you I put it high up there because in a world where this is rare, I want to highlight that that's one of the awesome things they've done that I think they'll continue to do. I'd much prefer tokens being sent out than buybacks. So I would rate it high.
Well, I would rate it low. Taki, what's your? So I gave it a 4. Dean gives it a 7 from what I remember.
7.5.
7.5. And Taki?
You both made good points. And like, in your opinion, what's the ideal? What's a perfect? What's a description of a 10 out of 10 on this? Not on Jupiter.
Uh,
Like, what's a
it
10 out of 10
needs
example?
token
Not a specific
holders.
one.
Token holders are shareholders, meaning they bought their tokens. So, they have something to lose. That's why the airdrop, in my mind, lowers the score. Second, the ability for the token holders to veto a decision made from the council. In a perfect world where everything is on chain, there should be a way for token holders to veto something that fundamentally changes the project. Let's put the veto quorum very high. I don't mind, this is under discussion, but this is not there. Then there is no ability for someone to exit. If they decide they're going to change the project completely, or the spending or whatever, I want to leave. And by leaving, I want to burn my tokens and get a piece of the treasury. Vesting needs to be there, transparent on-chain vesting for everyone. I want to be able to see exactly when and to who the tokens are being distributed. So in this spectrum of things, the only thing that Jupe had was the vesting. And that's why I give it a 4.
Yeah, I'm much more agreeing with you. And ultimately, the fact that there was not a rage quit option for the holders, but there was just the outcome of just pausing the DAO. That's not a very positive outlook. So yeah, I would give it a 3 out of 10 as well. Given all the other options that there exist in in this arsenal of options to protect the investors, and when we are today, with ownership coins and investor protections and everything. I think in retrospect, this scores rather low.
Remind me, did they put a vote to stop voting? It's like we elected the Communist Party and
No,
no more
no, no,
elections.
no, they didn't. They didn't. Look, we have to understand that there's always so much going on inside the team and what the team can see. But that's part of there should have been more transparency on things. And I can also understand how much of a noise and of a burden the whole thing of giving my token for just showing up, what's happening, why the price isn't pumping. So it's like, guys, fuck it. We're just going to focus on work. We're just not going to ask for your opinion. So I understand that. But there should have been a better foundation laid out to begin with, so we don't end up to this situation where the team has to go. I guess we're just like pausing this for now. They should not be able to pause things, and they should not be able to stop this, from being part of the whole foundation of the protocol. So yeah, not a good thing.
Let's look at treasury accountability. Since it's not on realms, this we don't know what's happening in their treasury. So I think we've already covered this in our discussion, and we know.
Yeah, I would tell you that I think we've covered pretty much everything.
Yeah.
Like the token, the authority has been burned, from what I remember. So it's not like they can do anything there. I don't believe they own anything off chain, like any assets like real estate or any of that. So I think we've covered most of the essential stuff. And I want a lot of feedback and input from the people listening to us. Like I really think that the economic participation, I square that higher for a reason, right? Like I'm comparing it to other coins I hold, and thinking about what I receive from those other coins. So I want you guys to tell us, like, am I wrong? Is Chris and Taki wrong? Are we all wrong? This only gets better as a standard and as a scoring if we have involvement from the broader ecosystem. We also need a lot of input on other tokens to add to that.
A question to the group: do you think a formal constitution is part of the Internet Capital Market Standard. Do you think that having a document where it will talk about elections, council, quorum, veto powers, governance parameters, fallback plans, runaway, do you think this
I think that like the answer is in the lack of making everything programmatic, yes. And the innovation in the space around governance has sucked. And it's not so much the tooling, it's also the participation and the usage of it. Like for a long time, we had a lot of people saying, hey, we need quadratic voting. Swear. Once it was built, no one used it. And it's not like, it's just, we have this gap between theory and practice. And over the last 7 years, we came back to ICOs as like being this like big deal for launches. What was my point?
Your point is that this is an ongoing conversation. We need participation. People need to participate. The only way to make this way of thinking kind of dominant in this market, where we see tokens as securities, or if you don't want securities for the legal implications, as shares in a project, we need to think about the rights. And people need to participate, and we're going to be disagreeing between
it's
each
a
other.
constitution. Yeah, a constitution has to exist. That way you start to build towards the programmatic. And I think we just gave up on so many parts of, like, there was a point at which when the token was launching, there was a huge amount of information, these white papers, reading and sharing and doing all this due diligence. And then it started becoming, there's so many coins coming out. You know what? I'm just going to put all my money and I'll make something. And that dumbed down the industry, right? Where it was like, well, we don't give a shit anymore. Now we're coming back to, hey, we actually do care about what we're putting our money into. And when I say we're a very small population. We need to do a good job of pulling the population. And
we ended up back again to the spray and pray plan. That's crazy.
Yeah,
because I've sprayed and prayed all MetaDAO launches. I've sprayed and prayed all the Metaplex launches. It's easy to see the dumbing down through our actions.
Yeah. And the thing is, like, those stand out as potential gems in a sea of crap. And what's going to happen is we're just going to get better and better at refining the processes. That ultimately, that's what investor protections are. It's making sure that crap doesn't even like come onto your radar, and that you're at least cognizant that you're going to the pink sheets, that you're going to, the real risky stuff. When your friend tells you, hey, I've got SNCC, come and buy SNCC. Shout out to Papanalo.
SNCC was a good trade.
It was a good trade, man. But like, what are you going to do? I remember I had Motai. Like, what are you going to do?
I think on that note is a good point to wrap this up. I think it was a very fun first episode. We can only get better from here. People need to come on stage with us and defend or attack.
There will be guests. Like, this becomes much more fun if we have guests. So we're working on that. Bear with us. These are just the warm-up episodes to get you acquainted of the debauchery that's going to go down in this show. Join us for this ride, and it's going to be more and more fun every time.
Governance is important. It distinguishes casino tokens with investment grade tokens. So think about it. Big love to everyone. I'll see you in the next time. And make sure to join us, participate, come into the various Discords, Telegrams, slide into our DMs. You know the way. Love you all. Stay active, stay awesome, and participate.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.